Hello friends and welcome to Studio Classroom Worldwide. I'm Rachel.
Hi everyone, my name is Steve. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for today's lesson. It is the American Culture Corner lesson on cell phones.
That's right. Today we are talking about cell phones. And if you ever make a trip to America, then you probably will need to get a cell phone at some time, especially if you decide to live there. So how do you know which cell phone to buy and which plan to get? Well, those are some of the questions we're going to answer today.
Okay, so let's get your magazines out and turn to page 22 as we begin the reading on line 1.
Cell phones. Make your cell phone use convenient and inexpensive. Cell phone technology changes quickly, and phones frequently have new features. So before you get a new cell phone, shop around and find the company that gives you the best coverage in your area. Next, choose a cell phone service plan carefully. Every plan gives you a certain number of minutes each month for a set price. Get a plan with enough minutes as the cost for overage minutes is high. To decide how many minutes you need, estimate the number of calls you make each day. Multiply that by the average number of minutes for each call. Then multiply that number by 30. Also, remember that in the U.S., you pay for each call you make and receive. So take that into consideration as well. Find out if you can roll over minutes and add them to the following month. Most importantly, look at the roaming charges. If you call from outside your service area, you will be charged extra fees.
So again, today we're talking about cell phones, and because it's an American Culture Corner article, we're going to look at cell phone use in the United States. And hopefully today we're going to teach you some ways to make that cell phone use convenient and inexpensive.
Okay, we may be familiar with cell phones, probably most of us have one, but are we familiar with how they work in America? Well, some things might be a little different, and so we want to give you some information and maybe a few tips if you ever go to the United States on how to use a cell phone.
That's right, and we have a lot of great vocabulary for you. So even if you don't ever use a cell phone in the United States, we do have a lot of good words that you can use when talking about cell phones here in Asia. So let's get right into our lesson now, and we read in line 1 that cell phone technology changes quickly. Well, this is true, isn't it, Steve? Even from when I had my first cell phone about, maybe 10 years ago till now, I can't believe how much the technology has changed.
Oh, so much has changed, Rachel. They've gotten smaller, the batteries last longer, they have so many more functions. It's just amazing how quickly they change. Well, let's take a look at that word technology for a moment. Technology is the new technology, the new information, the new machines, the new equipment based on modern science. And I think about computers a lot when I think of modern technology. Don't you, Rachel?
I sure do. Computers, cell phones, even maybe iPods or MP3 players, all these things are kind of technological gadgets, we might say. And definitely the computer has changed technology, especially in the last 10 to 20 years. And cell phones are also changing very quickly. So cell phone technology is something that will probably continue to change in the years ahead.
Well, actually, I'm afraid of cell phones getting any smaller, because if they get any smaller, they'd be so easy to lose. You'd have a hard time finding your cell phone. Technology is speeding up very quickly, and it's advancing very quickly.
It sure is. And a lot of phones nowadays have new features. And we're also going to look at that word feature in a minute, but I guess I just think of the phones that come out nowadays, they seem to be more complicated than ever. They seem to have more things to do. You can waste a lot more time on them just playing games or emailing your friends or checking the weather. And sometimes that scares me a little, because I would prefer a simpler cell phone.
Some people just want a phone to call, make a phone call like they used to do years ago. But now cell phones do have so many features. You can, of course, take pictures. You can log on to the internet and check your email and check the web, and there's so many things you can do, so many features.
That's right. So feature is one of our vocabulary words, and a feature is a distinctive part of something. So when we talk about a feature of a cell phone, it's again something like being able to take a picture. That is a popular feature. So anyway, moving on in our lesson, we read that before you get a new cell phone, you should shop around. And this is good advice that we've given before. Before you buy anything, I think you should always shop around, especially if it's a big purchase.
What's another way of saying shop around? We say do your homework. Go onto the internet and look around at different offers. Maybe even check the newspaper for what different companies are offering, and check the prices, what you want out of a cell phone. Do your homework and shop around.
That is good advice. And then the next thing you can do is find the company that gives you the best coverage in your area. Now, coverage is one of our more information words, and that just means the distance or the area to which something is covered. So if you have coverage in your area, it means your area is covered by whatever plan that company offers.
Okay, when you're looking for good coverage, think about the number of people that you can reach. If the phone service offers a big area of coverage, that's a good thing. That means you can reach more people. But also think about the quality of the communication. You don't want it to be staticky. You don't want it to be interrupted by other things. So make sure the cell phone service has good quality too.
That is a good point. Well, let's move on to line 6 now, where we read that the next suggestion our author gives is to choose a cell phone service plan carefully. Now let's look at that phrase service plan for a second. And Steve, when I think of service plan, I think of a contract.
I do too. Or another word might be package. There are different kinds of packages or plans offered by the companies, and so you have a lot of choices to make. So plan carefully. Make sure that you have a good cell phone service that fits your needs, okay? Because there are a lot of different kinds of plans out there.
Right, and each plan gives you a certain number of minutes each month for a set price, so you can get a plan with enough minutes, as the cost for overage minutes is high. Now this gets a little bit technical here, and I guess if you were to buy a cell phone in the U.S., you would look very carefully at this, but to summarize, we can just say make sure you're choosing the plan that has the right number of minutes for you.
Okay, what does that sentence mean when you go or you have overage minutes? Well, let's say, for example, you choose a plan where you have 100 minutes a month. But if during the course of the month you go over 100 minutes, you're going to be charged for those extra minutes. So be careful and make sure that you choose a plan that suits you.
And we have a little mathematical formula for you if you want to choose how many minutes you need. To decide how many minutes you need, estimate the number of calls you make each day. So maybe you make 5 calls a day. Multiply that by the average number of minutes for each call. So let's say you talk for 5 minutes, so you multiply that, you have 25, and then you multiply that number by 30. So Steve, I don't know how good you are at math, but we can estimate about 600 to 700 minutes, right?
That's a good guess. I mean, you used to teach math, Rachel, so I have to trust you on that.
Well, anyway, friends, we have more to talk about. We're just getting started, so we hope that you will stick with us. We're going to visit the chat room and take a break, and then we'll be right back.
Hi, friends. Welcome to the chat room. We're happy to have Doris here today for a chat. Hi, Doris.
Well, hi, Ken. It's good to be back in the chat room. So, what would you like to chat about today?
Let's chat about math.
Math? Ken, we're an English teaching program. We don't teach math.
No, I'm not saying we're going to teach math. I like to chat about a mathematical term, multiply. In our lesson today, it says, multiply that by the average number of minutes for each call, then multiply that number by 30. What does multiply mean?
Well, multiply is a verb. Here we see it used as a mathematical term. When you multiply a number, you add a number to itself a particular number of times.
So we multiply a number by another number.
That's